Hi, Assalamualaikum, and a very good morning to our lecturer, Prof. Azila, and to my other classmate also. Welcome to today's presentation, which is Joint Management by Group 10. And first of all, I'm going to introduce myself. Okay, my name is Nur Suhada binti Muhammad Nasir. My metric number is 262604, and I'm a student from Tourism Management in semester 4. Okay, before we continue to our presentation, I'm going to talk a little bit about learning outcome. What is we're going to present today? So the first one is the definition of joint management. The second one is goal and objective. The third one is a structure and process. Fourth is benefits of joint management. Fifth is the problems of joint management. Sixth is the example of management, which is the location that implement joint management. And the last one is the conclusion. So let's start now. Okay, now I'm going to start with the definition first. What is joint management and what does it mean by that? Okay, joint forest management is the management that is Indian based, whose primary concern is about conserving the forest and improving the livelihood of the people living near them, and without harming the environment. Okay, why I use the words joint forest management? Because it is more specific and more related to our subject, which is environmental management, right? So basically, joint management are general. If you Google it, it will come out with joint venture, joint management in businesses and entrepreneur. So the joint forest management is the more specific word that you can find more information about the management in park or the management in protected areas, right? So this joint forest management is basically a partnership or cooperation involving both forest departments and local communities in natural forest management. So the concept was introduced by the government of India through the National Forest Policy in 1988. This joint forest management also promoting a sustainable conserving method for protection of forests from the cumulative effort and joint participation of local communities and the government in protecting and managing the degraded forests. And in return for their services, the communities will get the benefits to avail the forest products such as the rubber, medicine, fruits, and so on. Okay, next I'm going to talk about joint management goals and objective. But first we go to the joint management goals first. Okay, the primary goals of joint forest management is to ensure sustainability use of forests to meet local needs equitably while ensuring the environmental sustainability. The central premises is that local women and men who are dependent on forests at the village level have the greatest stake in sustainable forest management. So basically the goals is to ensure the equitability benefits between the environment and the local communities who work hard to conserving the areas and to make sure the environment are sustained throughout the years. Okay, next we go to the objective of joint forest management. So from my research, there are so many objectives with a different style, with a different reference, with a difference. With a difference case study, but this is what I shortlisted of the objective. Even there are so many, but the objective is likely the same. It's the same thing. So the first one is to analyze the history of the forest use and management. Second, to analyze the social and economic characteristic of forest users and interrelationship of these factors. And the third one is to analyze the relevance of appropriate cultural factors. Okay, I'm going to continue to the structure and process of joint forest management. Basically, there are three phases in joint forest management, which is the first one is the preparatory phases, second one is the planning phases, and the third one is the implementation phases. So in preparatory phases, they will have the identification of problems to be addressed and the formation of participant. It may be the stakeholder, NGOs, volunteers, and so on. Next is MOU drafting, or we call it Memorandum of Understanding. This is where they discuss between themselves and a vision of statement. Next is mobilization of funds, core fund, and credibility fund. This is where they discuss about their monetary issues and cost. Okay, the second phase is the planning phase, which is they got their micro plan, and it is a plan of activities regarding the conservation and community development for 5 years ahead. And then they go straight to MOU signing, which executed by the forest department and the local community concerning about the norms for the protection of the micro plan area. Okay, the last phase is the implementation phase. This is where they got their annual action plan. Annual action plan prepares annually according to the budgetary resources. So in this implementation phase, which they got their actual implementation and their regular monitoring. So this is the 3 basic steps in joint management or joint forest management, but it can be different and be vary according to the situation that they are faced, according to the situation of the forest or the areas. Okay, next I'm going to talk about the advantage or the benefits of joint forest management. So the first advantage is joint forest management is an arena of social engagement, encounter, and experimentation. Many protected areas, joint management arrangements are relatively new, and even those that have 1 or several decades of experimentation are still exploring structure and option. As such, they are interesting arena for learning and change. It is often sensible to adopt a flexible and adaptive approach while the various players adjust themselves to the new arrangement. This is because, like I said before, joint management can be very and different according to the situation that they face. So this joint management can be a reference for another conservation methods in future. Second is joint forest management capitalize on multiplicity and diversity. Joint forest management is usually a multi-party but also a multi-level and multidisciplinary endeavor. So these different social actors possess different capacity and contribute different strength to the management. A partnership stresses and builds upon these complementary roles. Different social actors, however, may also possess contrasting interests and concern. So the third one is providing a learning process approach. This is when to implement in a situation where there are many unknowns and where the process needs to be developed through action. In other words, it gives an opportunity to act without having all unknown factors work out in advance. This is related to the first advantage because joint forest management is experimentation arenas. So after that, they give a reference to them to have a better structure of the implementation. Okay, and that's all for me, and my partner will continue to the next slide. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Adini Damir binti Dewan Basri and my matrix number is 262295. I will present to you about the major challenges that being faced by joint management and also the example and area that implement the management. And I will also present to you the conclusion that being made from the joint management that implement in the area. For the challenge that being faced by the joint forest management is that there is no generic model or blueprint for successful joint management. The agreement must be separately negotiated and must be responsive to the needs and aspirations of each local community. This long-term process requires a strong sense of commitment from the management agency and an equal strong sense of identity and place from the traditional owner. Failure to recognize this can result in distrust, disharmony, and dissatisfaction among them. Second point is that it is difficult to achieve coordination and cooperation between communities and peoples to meet regional resource management and conservation objectives. As for the third, the challenge is to create a situation in which the payoffs for everyone are greater when collaboration occurs rather than competition. And it is also a challenge that lack of trust between conservation authorities and local communities that makes it even difficult to achieve it. For the fifth point, difficulties in communication. Inappropriate language use and differences in literacy and numeracy skill makes it even hard for people to understand the message that wants to be applied at the area. As for the sixth point, the difference in power relation between conservation authorities and the local people, and also the degree of risk and uncertainty in entering discussion aimed at resolving conflict can become a major issue in joint forest management. For the eighth challenge is that the problem with binding contractual obligation and also lack of understanding of alternatives to participation may be an issue that will bring problem in future of the joint forest management. So the example that we choose for the joint forest management is that Catanino, Zambia, which is in the region of African. So what can I say is that the joint forest management is implement with the aspect of forest trust. It means that the forest authority and the local community at that place collaborate in conserving the forest at the highest point. So what can I give you for example is that the forest authority much more take part in the higher level of the management, which is one chief representative or the one chief conservator and the one from the village resource that wants to link with the local community at that place. And as for the local community, they represent about the user group in the area. As the village headman means that each and every spot at that place has a village headman that could monitor their community to make the conservation at the fullest. And also they also have guards that help to conserve the forest even more from any kind of damage like fire that happen naturally or etc. So as for the conclusion, what can I conclude is that joint forest management offer new hope for the communities most directly dependent upon forests for their multiple needs. The stronger emphasis is recommended on designing a joint forest management policy involving local people, local institutions and local organizations from the start, and conscious focus on competent implementation applies more economic, technical and social skills. Training and support for forest extension officers, local authorities and local institutions at large are so recommended. So next point is that forest department now have challenge to reorient their perspective, because it needs to shift from being forest manager to community facilitator, which means that the local authorities also facilitate towards the community at that place. And for the next point, joint forest management also needs to develop and effectively adapt more flexible planning process which are truly participatory and at the same time completely integrated into the overall working plan objective. And as for the last point, innovative silvicultural system to maximize benefits from multiple uses will need to be evolved with the input of traditional and technical knowledge and increased understanding of the ecological and economic role of the NWFPs. So that is all the point from me and my partner about the joint forest management presentation for today. Thank you my fellow friends and madam for your time being.